Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Awesome in Seattle podcast. This is your host, Christian Nossum of the Awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty, and I'm a Seattle area real estate agent, Seattle metro-ish area. And today we are talking about real estate investing and how not just the normal investor with a ton of down payment can get into this game, but also how people with not so much of a down payment can get into this game, especially if you want to live in it and do what I have dubbed and everyone now talks about called house hacking. It's where you actually live in it and you have some sort of income coming in either from roommates, no one really wants that, or another unit or 2 units or 3 units. And that's why I brought on the one, the only Mr. Dan Keller of New American Funding. Thank you for coming on, Dan.
We're hacking away today.
Yes, we are. So Dan is a mortgage loan officer. We have worked together for over, a dozen years at this point.
Yeah.
And there's some big loan changes that is making this easier for buyers, not just first-time buyers, but any buyer that wants to live in a building that has more than 1 unit. That's what today's episode is all about. So the lending changes are basically saying, in general, that you can just do 5% down for a property if there's 4 units up to a $1.47 million purchase price. That's the teaser. We're going to go way in depth into these numbers, show you how much down payment you would need, show you what the monthly payment would be, show you your total investment and your net worth growth. And we're really going to go into some numbers here. Disclaimer, verify everything that we're saying on your own. Don't take our word for it, but we know what we're talking about. But still, we're not going to guarantee any of this stuff. So, Dan, I'm going to let you kind of explain what these lending changes are and what they mean for buyers.
Yeah, just so you have an idea of how important this is, let's share some context. So prior to November 18th, 2023, let's just say a first-time home buyer, if they wanted to buy a multifamily home, they needed to put down a minimum of 15% all the way up to 20+% down, right? So this is big news. So now it's just across the board, 5% down. Yeah. If you want to live in one of the units, 5% down, which is huge.
It's a massive change, a massive improvement, makes it so much easier for buyers to move into and live in one of these units and rent out the other one.
Yeah. And another one of the hacks too with this is that gift can be, or that down payment could come in the form of a gift.
Yeah. From a family member.
From a family member. Yeah. So that is, I mean, there's some gray areas there, but employers, charities, family members. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that I always want to point out, you only have to live in this. So I look at it as you only have to sacrifice for 1 year minimum. So, or maximum really. So you only have to live in this complex or this building for a year, and you get to keep that low down payment, that low interest rate, forever for the whole term of the mortgage. So for 30 years, that's how I would do it. Yeah. You get to keep that lower interest rate because when you're living in it, you do get a lower interest rate than if you were to buy it as a pure investment property that you're not living in.
That's what I was going to say to provide some clarity around what Christian's talking about in regards to low interest rate. If you buy a home that's considered owner occupied that you're going to live in, you do get a better interest rate than an investor like you going out and required to put down 20+% would get. So that's a very important feature.
Yeah. So I want to explain too, I love talking about this, not just because I think it's great for buyers to be able to do this, but because I have actually lived this. The first 2 properties that I ever bought, the first one, actually, they were both duplexes. So I lived in 1 unit, I rented out the other. I'm practicing what I preach, and it has helped me build my net worth a lot. And we're going to kind of go over what those numbers can look like today as well. But I always like to explain that I'm not just preaching this, I've actually done it. I recommend it. It's really not that hard to be a landlord. People think it is. You can do it right. I can help you understand how to do it and teach you how to do it the right way. That's just what I do with my clients. So happy to explain that to you. But yeah, the big thing is you can keep that low interest rate forever after you move out. And when you get the loan, you're only guaranteeing that you're going to live there for a year. So you can buy one place for 1 year, live in it, rent out the other 3 units. If it's a fourplex, if it's a triplex, you rent out the other 2. And if it's a duplex, you rent out the other 1. And then after a year, you could do this all over again. with another 5% down payment and buy another duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Like, that's your option. And you could do this every year for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many years you want to do this, however many properties you want to accumulate. So it's super powerful. And that's why I really wanted to have Dan on here to go over these numbers. And I'd really encourage those that are single, those that are married, basically anyone that doesn't have school age kids yet. That's the people that this works best for. It can go for anyone, but from experience, once I had kids, this was a lot harder. That once they were in school, at least. Once they were in school, it's like, man, I don't want to leave the school that I'm in. I don't want them moving every single year. You can do it, and you could try and stay in that same school zone if you want, but it gets a lot tougher.
Yeah. Yeah, at least you made it past the partner, the spouse. Once I got married, she was like, I'm not living in a multifamily.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I got booted on that idea.
Mine's funny. She came home because she was still in college.
Yeah.
And I had a note. We shared a room in a 10-bedroom house. So we were one of 10 people in this house. Yeah. We were renting it. And she came home from college, and there was a little Post-it note on the pillow that said, I bought a house today.
Oh,
that's
cool.
literally all I did. I didn't explain, didn't talk to her about it. Just like, hey, I bought a house today. She's like, wait, what?
We're out of here.
What are you talking about?
It's so cool.
So yeah, that was fun. All right. So Dan, let's go over this a little bit more. Yeah. Let's go over some of the nuts and bolts of this. How do buyers get qualified? Like, what do they need to do in order to get qualified for something like this? Is this difficult? Is this easy? Like, what are the qualifications?
Well, I think the first and foremost, you want to identify up front that this is the type of property you're going to look to purchase, right?
Yes.
Hey, I'm looking to buy a multifamily and live in one of the units or house hack. So I think disclosing that is important, because now we can go out with your real estate agent and we can use current rents to offset it's most first time home buyers aren't going out and buying $1.473 million homes, right?
No. But they could with only 5% down with these new changes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Especially with 5% down. So you think about it, average first-time home buyer only having to put down $75,000 on a $1.4 million home, the mortgage payment's astronomical. It's like 14, 15 grand a month, right?
Yeah. Which sounds crazy and is somewhat crazy if you don't do this math that we're going to do for you right now. So you can understand how this is totally attainable and affordable.
Yeah. So from a lender standpoint, if we take, for example, this fourplex, and the fourplex is bringing in $2,500 to $3,000 a month in rent for the other 3 units, you'll live in one of them. We can now take part of that rental income, offset your qualifying debt, and help you qualify to purchase that. So I think that's first and foremost, that's important. Outside of that, it's just a typical mortgage application.
Yeah.
Credit, income, assets.
Nothing too crazy.
No.
I do want to jump in real quick too. The reason that we're stopping at a fourplex and not going to a 5+ units, once you go over 4 units, once you get to the 5+, that's where it becomes a completely different type of loan. It's called a commercial loan. Very different qualifications. What we're talking about today does not qualify for that. So that's why we're stopping at a 4-plex or smaller. And I just wanted to clarify.
That's a great point. I get that question all the time. Yeah. Hey, I want to buy the 6-plex. I'm like, cool. Go to Coastal Community Bank and get a commercial loan.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go over the loan amount and what that means purchase price with a 5% down payment for these different sized units. So I know from past experience when I bought stuff, a duplex, a triplex, and a fourplex had different loan amounts that kind of stepped up based on how big the unit or how many units there were. Yeah. So what are the numbers for a duplex? And this is for the state of Washington, correct?
Yeah. So remember, with this new program with Fannie Mae, we're kind of lucky in King, Snohomish, and Pierce County where we have these high balance. So we have the conforming loan limits, and then we get a high balance feature, which bumps us up a little bit higher.
Yep.
With this particular program, we're just going off of the standard Washington State conforming loan limits. Okay.
Which are still pretty high.
And remember, I am going off of 2023s. These will get revised, most likely a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But I'm just for the sake of staying within compliance and not overselling expectations. A duplex, right now in 2023, max loan amount of $929,850.
So basically $930,000.
So 930, add 5% to that, or plus 5%. It's about a $980,000 purchase of a duplex.
That's totally doable in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I know, King County, or excuse me, Snohomish County, for sure.
Yeah.
A triplex, you're looking at a loan amount of 1.123,900. So that's a purchase price of about 1.18.
Got it.
And then a fourplex, 1.396. So 1,396,800 would be the loan amount, which puts you just right about a $1.4 million purchase price. Pretty crazy. And again, 5% down. So real simple math. Multiply 1.473 million by 5%, and that's your down payment, which is about $76,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So for about 75,000 numbers, it's $75,000, you could buy a almost $1.5 million house.
Right.
Fourplex.
Yeah. Cash.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do that in the stock market.
Income generating. Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. Take 75 grand, invest in the stock market and be like, hey, can you give me $8,000 a month return on that?
No,
not happening.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So let's do a scenario here. Let's go with the fourplex because it's a higher number. So it sounds more exciting and it is kind of more exciting.
Yeah.
So a 1.4, what's the final
1.47.
Okay. $1.47 million with 5% down. That number is
73. Let's just say $74,000, 73.5.
So about $75,000 is your down payment. That's out of pocket. You will have closing costs. Right now, most likely you're going to get the seller to pay those closing costs.
Yeah.
That's just how the market is right now. So let's pretend you don't have to have that out of pocket. And that'll also simplify the math for us. So what would the monthly payment be? And then after that, we'll go over what potential rents could be.
Yeah. So you gave a disclaimer up front that we're using fairly accurate numbers, but these are just estimates. So full disclosure, and I'm going to start talking about mortgage stuff. So I might as well just drop my MLO number.
Your MLO
number. I'm a licensed mortgage loan officer. My MLO number in the state of Washington is 1153499er. Niner. All right. So you mentioned about $73,500 is your down payment, and that's with a fourplex at about $1.47 million. So principal and interest is just going to be shy of $11,000 a month. I'm using about $1,100 a month for property taxes. I'm using approximately $250 a month for homeowners insurance for the whole project.
Sounds
and
accurate.
I'm using about $375, probably going to be a little bit lower than that for PMI, private mortgage insurance, because you're not putting down 20%.
20%, yeah.
Okay. Let's add all that up, and you're going to be right around $12,600 dollars a month. Okay.
So
Maybe
your total
higher.
monthly payment would be $12,600-ish dollars.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. So that is. But let's go over the rents. So let's pretend there's a 3-bed, a 2-bed, a 1-bed, and maybe another 2-bed or something like that.
Okay.
So there's a mix of units. They're all exactly the same. Generally, for a 3-bed, we're seeing about $3,500 a month.
Okay.
For a 2-bed, about $2,500 a month, and for a 1-bed, $1,800 to $2,000 a month.
Okay, let's use $2,000 because that gives us $8,000 a month in rent.
Perfect.
Okay,
so that's
cool.
Round numbers.
Cool.
And then you're going to live in one of the other units. So your difference between $8,000 a month collected in rent, and your payment is $12,600 a month. So that's what, $4,600 a month.
This is where the math gets fun. Yeah. So you're basically your mortgage payment.
And if you're a visual person, head over to YouTube and watch. We're gonna put these numbers on the screen so you can actually see what we're talking about.
This will blow your mind, because this blows my mind as a mortgage loan officer, because I'm looking at a $1.47 million purchase with 5% down, and my out of pocket monthly mortgage / rent, whatever you want to call it, expense is going to be $4,600 a month.
Yeah.
Could you buy a $1.4 million home anywhere, even with 20% down? You're not getting this, a $4,600 a month mortgage payment. So the math on this is really starting to pencil. Let's even take it a step further. Let's say the unit that you're going to be living in is a 3-bedroom, so you could be getting $3,500 a month. You would be paying $3,500 a month. It's $1,100 more a month than you would pay in rent.
Yeah. To own the place.
Get
the appreciation, get the tax benefits, get the principal pay down of your loan.
Yeah.
all of these huge benefits.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Let's go over these numbers a little bit more. Let's go over a 5-year time span. And let's say that it appreciates very conservatively 4% a year.
Yep.
Every year for 5 years.
Okay. That's very conservative, by the way, especially in King County. So if this $1.47 million machine appreciates at 4% a year, over 5 years, you'll have an increase of $300,000 in equity.
So your net worth just jumped
by 300 grand.
300 grand.
So let's hit pause on that conversation real quick.
Okay.
So if you go $300,000 divided by 5, that's $60,000 a year. When I talk with my first-time homebuyer clients about buying real estate, okay, getting into the game, I always run this 5-year, very conservative, just like we are right now, 4% appreciation over 5 years. If I were to run these numbers very conservatively for you, that's a $60,000 a year increase of your own wealth. Divide that by 12. Okay, what is that? If we divide that by 12, what is that? $5,000 a month. Could you go to your employer right now and say, Mr. Amazon, I want a $5,000 a month raise? What are they going to say? Probably going to say no, because they're already paying you a lot. Okay. And so what you've done is you've just given yourself a raise. That's how break it down super simple. And this is very conservative. You've just given yourself a $5,000 a month raise.
That doesn't suck.
No, it doesn't. So if you really want to pinch the pennies, you're paying $4,600 a month in total living expenses. You just gave yourself a $5,000 a month raise. You're kind of living for free. If you want to look at it that way.
That's another way to look at it for sure. I like that. Okay, so let's go over what are some of the other numbers that we had talked about. So you got the down payment out of pocket is only basically $75,000. Every month you're paying about $4,600. You got $8,000 a month in rent coming in. Your over a year, then you got appreciation on top of that. And over a year in rent, you're accumulating or generating what, 400 and what did we say for over 5 years?
400. You're bringing in $480,000 in total rent over 5 years.
Wow.
And if you look at just 4% appreciation, your tenant's helping you pay down what you owe by $60,000, and you getting the IRS tax refunds that you will get under the standardized deductions. The exchange is you've now increased your net worth by $420,000, or you've brought in an additional $420,000 to your net worth. Yeah.
With $75,000.
With $75,000 down. Yeah.
And you own probably a pretty nice building.
Yeah, you own a fourplex in King County. Doesn't get much better.
Or Snohomish or wherever.
Snohomish, it doesn't get much better than that. So these are numbers that I think, just like you would sit down with a financial planner and say, I'm going to give you X number of dollars of money. What do you think the return you can get on my investment? They're going to say, 7% or whatever, 8% or 4%. Cool. You show them this.
And just so you guys know, we do talk with financial planners often, and we explain kind of this process to them, and they go, "Oh yeah, that makes more sense."
Yeah, it does. And the other thing is, you're gonna have. Are there risks associated with?
Totally.
Yeah. But that's why you have people like Christian, experienced real estate investors that help people every single day with this. The number one question or pushback I get with clients on this is, why doesn't everyone do this? Well, everyone's not cut out to be a property manager. Cool. There's solutions for that too. So
you can hire a property manager to do this. So you could live there anonymously, not even let your fellow tenants know that you are the owner. Have a property management company manage this. They charge about 8 to 12%. Generally, it's about 10% of the rental income every single month. That's what they make. They will handle everything for you. So you don't have to do anything. They'll qualify everybody. They'll show the properties. They'll do all the work. They'll deal with, issues that arise. Now, the other thing too, we did not cover this. There are going to be issues that pop up. Every property has issues. You will have a water heater that goes out, or a washer dryer that needs to be replaced, or a fridge that needs to be replaced, or whatever. These are things that you can plan for when you when you go under contract. You will have a home inspection. That inspector, a good inspector, should and will tell you, hey, here's the lifespan of these things that are left, you know? So you can help budget for those things in the future. You don't have to go in blind and just go, well, I hope everything works out fine, because it's not going to. That's the reality of things. The amount of appliances for the numerous properties that I own right now that I had to replace over the last 3 years, it seems like every fridge and dryer or washing machine like went out in all of the units. I'm like, I just bought one. What the heck? What is happening? They all just kind of timed out because they all were purchased at about the same time too. So they all start to peter out at around the same time. So there are going to be some things that you do have to, replace and stuff. And I'm here as a resource to help as your agent. I don't disappear once you buy a place. I'm always here as a resource. I can give you my contacts, my referrals, and they can help you out. Handymen, remodelers, appliance people, like whatever you need, I can help you. So I always like to throw that out there. All right. So Dan, should people be buying a fourplex with 5% down? Does that kind of make sense?
I think it makes financial sense for the right person.
Yes,
I mean,
for the right person.
I'm 40. I just turned 48, and I think that when you talk to older people that have been around the game, they've been around investments. The one thing that you always hear them say is, I should have started sooner. I should have started sooner. I should have started investing in the stock market sooner. I should have been more intelligent with my real estate investment sooner. I think the one thing that I missed early on in my life was someone like you. Someone that has done it, someone that's doing it, someone that had a roadmap, a game plan, and someone that would stay by your side. And so I want to encourage you, if you have the right people, if this is a desire to get into real estate and to be a real estate investor, I don't think there's a better program or a better time in my 16-year career in the mortgage industry, which I deal with investors and I work with real estate agents like you that are investors. Programs like this don't come around often.
No, this is why we're doing an episode all about this one change, because it is such a big deal.
And this is a government back. This is Fannie Mae. This isn't some rinky dink under the table operation.
No. Yeah,
this is Fannie Mae, the number one insurer of mortgages. So one, Fannie Mae is coming out saying we believe in housing. Number two, you guys, they're just up here in the Pacific Northwest. They're not building. They're not developing more land. I mean, you talk to any builder, they're all going after the same land, and there's not a whole lot of it out there. And
there's not a lot of buildable land left.
No, there's no.
That doesn't already have like environmentally critical areas or steep slopes or wetlands or whatever. The stuff that was easy to build on has already been built on. There's just not a lot of land left.
This is your opportunity.
We're blocked by water and mountains. And the state has implemented rules that say you can't just sprawl forever, which was smart. There's a good reason for that. And so, the land is...
We got our friendly Canadians above us, so we can't really go north. So
unless there's some sort of craziness there, which
they like to buy our stuff.
Yeah, they do.
But
which is funny. They invest so much in the American, like especially the Seattle area, Bellingham, San Juans. They invest so much money in real estate in America. It's crazy.
It's so expensive up there. That's why.
Exactly. Well, and they don't get tax benefits, but they do here.
Right. Yeah, I think this is an opportunity of a lifetime for young first-time home buyers that want to be real estate investors. Listen to what Christian has to say. And your strategy I've taught for years, not necessarily even with multifamilies. This is how you put this idea on steroids, right?
Totally.
Buy a home, live in it. Don't buy your first home as your dream home. It never will be. It never is.
No.
Never is.
Unless you hit the lottery and that's a different story. Though. That's not the normal everyday person.
Buy a home. You can live in it. You get an owner-occupied interest rate, live in it for a year, rent it out, do the same thing. What this loan program has done is it's allowed you to put the minimum down 5%. The reason why this wasn't done a lot before is because you had to put down so much money. So it would take more time to save up that down payment capital, right?
Exactly.
This way, you put 5% down, live in it for a year or two or however long you need to save up 5% more. Boom, do it again. Do it again.
And there's ways, going back to when issues arise, there's ways to protect yourself. Have 6 months of expenses set aside in a separate bank account for that property for when those things pop up, so you're not caught with your pants down and in a situation that you can't afford. Like there's ways to protect yourself. Be smart about it. Don't go in and spend every last dime on this $1.47 million property. I mean, the bank won't let you anyway, but don't go doing something dumb like that. Like be smart about it. We can help you with those planning steps and how to do this. And this is, if this is something that you are interested in doing in the future, whether that's in a week or 3 years, we are happy to sit down with you and help you build out that roadmap completely for free.
One of the things I admire about you, Christian, is I've seen you do this numerous times before with clients that we're working with. When you encounter a scenario that hey, I want to see if this will work, run it by Christian, have Christian or have, me run some numbers, run the project, the transaction by Christian, and he'll tell you black or white if it pencils, if it's something he would do.
Exactly.
I've watched you talk people out of it and say, this isn't going to work.
I do that a lot. Yeah. Because not every project, not every property does work.
Yep.
And why sugarcoat it? Like, I'm going to be there forever for them to assist them in this real estate world of buying and selling and trading and doing whatever they got to do to get where they want to get in the future. And it's not, hey, sell them one piece of crap and watch them flounder in 2-3 years and regret doing it. No, I don't want you to regret anything. I'm going to show you and share everything that I know so that you can make an informed decision. I mean, that's why we do our beers and home buying class, which if you haven't heard of that, go to beersandhomebuying.com. Every month I host a free home buyer class. They're only an hour long. There's free beer. Some venues have food as well. So an hour to learn how to buy a house. And you'll understand the process that we created, which is very different than the traditional real estate agent. It is very step-by-step in a common sense way, not this is what everyone else does. So I'm going to keep doing it how everyone else does it. Yeah. And it just helps you understand the process. After that, you do a one-on-one strategy session. We have Dan come on with us. So you got the lender and the agent at the same time. We help you build that budget, understand what you can afford. After you understand what you can afford, then we show you what you can afford. Like, what is that? What is that purchase price? What does your budget actually get you? And where does it get it? Yeah. Like, these are all the questions that you have. You just got to build up upon them. Yeah. And so it's a fun process. It's free to understand what you can afford. You just got to go to beersandhomebuying.com. Or if you already have come to one of the classes, because we've had thousands of people come through over the 8+ years that we've been doing these classes, you can just schedule a one-on-one strategy session with me right on our website, awesomenossum.com/schedule. Again, they're totally free. There's no pressure to do anything. It's just an easy way for us to inform people so that they can make a smart choice. That's all we're about. Yep.
Smart choices, they'll pay off.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you, Dan, for coming on again. I think this was super helpful. I hope you learned a lot as well. And if you ever have questions, just feel free to reach out. Dan's contact info will be on the screen and also in the show notes, as well as mine. Reach out if you got any questions. That's it for this week in the Awesome in Seattle podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.